Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Wyeth and I have had leopard geckos for a little over a year now, and this is my presentation or YouTube video of everything you need to know about leopard geckos before adopting or purchasing one. The first point I'm going to make is to do your research. This video is just what I know. I am only somewhat experienced. There are more experienced people out there and I would recommend checking them out. And this should always be done before buying an animal, and use reliable sources like breeder websites and not Wikipedia. And the banner down below is a really reliable source to learn more about leopard geckos. And also take your time. You don't have to do your research one day and then just go out and get your leopard gecko the next day. I can assure you any store will have them whatever day it is you need. You can take your time. Now that that's done, let's get to the facts. So where do I adopt and purchase a leopard gecko? Breeders. If you purchase one from a breeder, you can always get in contact with them again if you have any questions. So that is one of the biggest and best places that I would say. And reptile expos, which is where there's a bunch of breeders around and you can ask any questions, and I'm sure that they will have every answer for you. And humane societies and animal shelters. It's very rare that most places will get a leopard gecko, and when they do, it will be hard to find them at home, so maybe that would be a place to check out. And this is a list to avoid when purchasing a leopard gecko: PetSmart, Petco, and local pet stores and family-owned stores. In PetSmart and Petco, it is really rare that employees know what they're talking about when it comes to creatures, and they just want to make a buck or two. And in the corner, this was in a Petco in Katy, Texas. This leopard gecko was dying. And this picture was taken in a PetSmart, but it wasn't clear where the picture was taken. Would you be comfortable purchasing from a pet store where this was happening every day all over the country? So what size tank do I use? For babies, to start, when I got my boys, I purchased a 10-gallon tank, and this is more than enough if they're little, so that's good for a while. And after about 6 months, once they start growing a bit and getting used to their surroundings, invest in a 20-gallon tank. Any bigger can probably stress your gecko out. And if the cage goes by dimensions instead of gallons, 24 by 18 by 18 inches would be the best. This is a 24 by 18 by 18 tank. Even though there's bearded dragons in it, that's just for a sample. But this is the size that I would use if mine were in an Exoterra tank. And you can find this on their website. I will link it in the description, but you cannot buy it off of the website. Some ideal substrates would be paper towel or newspapers, eco earth, and reptile carpet. Not good substrates are calci sand, coconut shreds, and fake grass. Any sort of sand can cause impaction. While reptile carpet is ideal, it can cause teeth and nail incidents. Eco earth, while tedious to dry out, is one of the best substrates to use. That's what I use for my boys. It takes a really long time for it to dry out, but once it does, it lasts for a while. So, do I use heat lamps or heat pads? It is always best to use heat pads, and the heat pad should cover at least a third of the tank under the warm hide. Hides will be discussed later on in the video. Almost never use any type of lamp for a heat source. Having your bedroom light on is okay, of course, because you need that, but using a UVB bulb is not the best. If you feel the need, use a bulb that does not give off a strong light, as it can hurt their eyes over a long period of time. That being said, let's talk about temperatures. 87 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit is the average temperature that your leopard gecko's cage should be. It should be no lower than 86 and no higher than 94. On the warm side, the highest the warm side should be is, like said before, 87 to 90. The cool side should be no lower than 80 degrees. This side can range between 80 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Now for hiding spots. You can use basically any type of hiding rock, just make sure it's big enough for your leopard gecko to fit in. Also, make sure that it does not have any sharp edges. For the warm side, I would do maybe a rock hide that buries down if you're using eco earth and they can dig their way in. And something to consider is putting moss that's damp in the hide to give it a little bit more warmth. Or you can make your own hide. And for the cool side, you can also use any type, and nothing needs to be put on this side, and you can make your own. If you're making it out of maybe a butter container, make sure you sand the edges, because that can cut your leopard gecko's side. So now for food. You can feed them mealworms but not in an excessive amount, and waxworms are normally used to fatten up a leopard gecko, but they can also be given in very small amounts. Crickets are a good source of protein. No fruits or vegetables because leopard geckos are strictly carnivorous. And no prepackaged dead crickets, mealworms, etc. Always provide calcium. Leopard geckos need D3 and vitamin C in their daily diet. Even go as far as putting an extra container to the side that is just for calcium. So, how many food dishes do I need? I use 3, one for food, one for water, and one with just a small amount of calcium in it. With my boys, they hate calcium if it's on their food, so I just leave it in the open for them to take it as they would like. The food dish on the left came with a kit for hermit crabs, but I just used the dish for calcium. The dish in the middle I used for water, and the right I used for mealworms. What you should and should not put in a leopard gecko's enclosure. For should, anything mentioned before that was marked safe, like heat pads, but you don't put them in, but it counts because it's around it. Food and water dishes, hides, eco-earth, etc. They're food and decorative plants. Petco has some really interesting plants that leopard geckos love to climb on. And for should not, any other animal besides a breeding partner, unsafe substrates, and mealworms bigger than the space that's between their eyes, and rock heater hides. This has been the cause of countless reptile deaths, and I would absolutely not recommend buying one. They're, I think, $30 or $20 depending on what size they are, and they are not worth it. Do not waste your money. It can kill your animal. And now for some tips and tricks or other things to know that I have learned by having leopard geckos and by researching a lot on the internet over the past year or two. Leopard geckos can live anywhere from 15 to 20 years. Some have even been recorded at 30 years. So let's say you're 20 right now and you get a leopard gecko. This means that you could have a leopard gecko when you are 50 years old. Give your leopard gecko time to settle in before changing anything about their diet. It can cause them to refuse their food. But if your leopard gecko is not eating, don't worry. They can go up to 7 weeks without eating. But if they are losing weight rapidly and their eyes are crusted over, shedding problems are apparent, like they can't get a piece off and it's stuck, then take your gecko to a vet ASAP. Do you think you're ready for a leopard gecko? Please remember to do other research other than this video before purchasing one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.